So now the question is if Congress could actually adjust the amount of money that you receive from Social Security, because the millions of seniors and senior citizens and also retirees are worried about what the lawmakers are going to do in order to keep Social Security and Medicare solvent. One proposal is going to support both parties and it could cut the benefits by 50%. Now, today the Senate Republican Bill Cassidy told reporters that Joe Biden and the former president have the same plan on Social Security. Senator Cassidy said both Joe Biden and the former president have the same plan, which is to do nothing on Social Security and to allow a 24% cut to benefits when the fund goes insolvent in about 8 or 9 years. They both have the same plan of doing nothing. Social Security and Medicare have been at the center of contentious debate across party lines over federal entitlement programs. Even Republicans have pushed for spending cuts, demanding Democrats make commitments about negotiations on a debt ceiling. They've said entitlement programs are not in jeopardy, but Democrats have painted the spending cut calls as threats and positioned themselves as protectors of the program. Funding for Medicare is expected to hit a shortfall in 2028, while Social Security could run out of money in 2032. Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid currently make up nearly half of the entire federal budget, with an annual cost of $1 trillion. Senator Cassidy proposed creating a fund which is separate from Social Security, or about $500 billion to be invested into the nation's economy. Plus, Cassidy stated, "And we allow it to sit here, we allow it to grow, and at the end, it helps bridge Social Security's sustainability and all the risk that is borne by the fund." One other option being discussed is raising retirement age. Republicans like Louisiana Senator John Kennedy and even his presidential candidate have recently proposed doing that. Last year, a group of House Republicans called for increasing the retirement age to 70 years old for Social Security and Medicare. That's then indexing it to life expectancy. But it's not only Republicans supporting the change, because many of the Democrats have shown their support for a higher retirement age. Raising the eligibility age is not an insignificant proposal. Research has found that raising this would actually increase and cut monthly Social Security payments for early retirees by about 15%. And people in low-income or blue-collar jobs would see their retirement cut the most. And according to USA Today, the average cost for a gallon of gas, of regular gas that is up 21 cents in just 1 month. The national average price for a gallon of gas was $3.67. On average, the gallon of gas is also widening variably across the country. For instance, in California, it was $4.20. In Mississippi, it's $3.16. Meanwhile, the national average price of diesel has fallen 0.3 cents in the last week and stands at $4.15 a gallon, 87 cents lower than a year ago. But according to analysis at JP Morgan, oil prices are poised to rally soon, as the Federal Reserve is expected to pause its rate hikes. Since the 80s, the final increase in a tightening cycle has been followed by increasing in the price of Brent crude 3 months later, returning an average of 9%. Now, it's the most traded of all the oil benchmarks and is defined as the most drilled in the North Shore fields. The main takeaway is for now that if the Fed pauses its rate hiking campaign soon, the most likely scenario is that oil performs well. Markets expect the Fed to raise the rates one more time, lifting them by another 25 basis points. So this can mean several good things for the American people. In response to inflation, the Federal Reserve has embarked on a series of hikes to its benchmark interest rate, which raises borrowing costs for consumers and businesses alike. That should slow the...
We actually have a tax policy that encourages them to go overseas to save money. We should let big corporations amass more...
The United States and its territories. And
to West Virginia, then basically I always have said, okay, put your team together. Their will and pleasure. If they screw up and they're bad, you're going to be held accountable, and in 4 years the people can atone that. So I've been very differential. I'm going to look at each one of them. There might be some that I don't agree with. I will be able to let the Biden administration know how I feel, but we haven't done the personal interviews yet before we confirm. I look forward to that.
Senator Manchin, thank you. Thanks for joining us, and good luck this week in coming.
First of all, the Government Accountability Office reported that at least $4 billion in jobless benefits frauds has been formally determined by the state unemployment services, while at least $45 billion in payments have been flagged for potential fraud by the U.S. Department of Labor. This cannot be interpreted as the extent of the problem, though. The report provides the latest insight in the numerous schemes to steal money from a range of ideas of hastily implemented crisis relief programs. Things are hastily implemented? No. It comes a week before newly powered in-House Republicans are making their investigation into this effort. The House Oversight Committee also said that it's possible this could happen. The committee, chaired by Representatives James Comer, sent letters to the Department of Labor and its Inspector General's office, as well as state labor departments in California, New York, and Pennsylvania. He said we owe it to Americans to identify how thousands of billions of dollars is going under the guise of crisis relief. They were lost, waste, money, fraud, mismanagement, a lot of things that are going crazy. I also want to say this, folks.
I want you as the chairman and your colleagues to know exists. It is, I think, uncertainty and what the future holds is one of the most damaging things when people try to figure out their lives and how comfortable they are. I also want to highlight a particular Kansas, but middle America, across the country, issue of agriculture. I was on a farm on Saturday, participating in, observing harvest of wheat. We live in a world in which people are starving, and more are going to starve if we are unable to, if we fail to get more grain into markets from Ukraine and from Russia, but from the United States as well. Agriculture, farming is a noble calling, and it has a lot to do with being able to feed people.
Country have their own stimulus check, so let's get most important news first. It's not clear if President Biden's latest announcement that he's releasing from the oil nation's emergency stockpile will help bring gas prices down. So the national average of gas stood at $3.85 a gallon and down 2 cents from Tuesday. So one of the biggest factors in the recent price surge of gasoline has been refineries across the country shutting down either for regular maintenance or following accidents. Now, a number of West Coast refineries that had been offline have returned to operations, and that has sparked a plunge in gas prices west of the Rocky Mountains, driving down the national average. And just last week, the average price in California has fallen 30 cents a gallon, and there's been a 25-cent drop in Oregon and a 20-cent dip in Washington and Nevada. All the refineries dealing with accident repairs won't be back online anytime soon. Those that have been closed for reschedule and maintenance are now near to resuming operations. According to the experts, that will likely lead to lower prices elsewhere in the nation. And even if the drop isn't as precipitous as it has been out west, oil and gas futures fell in Tuesday's trading after word got out that President Biden announced 15 million barrels of oil will be released. And that represented just another phase of the planned release of 180 million barrels of gas over 6 months being released in late March. Oil analysts have also said the markets initially moved due to confusion over whether or not the oil was coming out of strategic reserves. So millions of inflation relief checks actually started going out